So one of the tools for giving characters some motivations is thinking about their basic needs, and there are different kinds of needs. You have probably heard of Maslow's pyramid for human needs. So usually, well, I think I've talked already about the difference between want versus need, that not the thing that the character in a story wants is not always the thing that he actually needs. And often in folk tales, especially in Finnish folk tales, the devil often offers to give the character something that he or she really wants, but that's a trap because the devil is not giving what they really need. So if you read, for instance, the fairy tale of Rumpelstiltskin, that's a good example where the devilish character is a kind of boggart who promises to help the main character, like a poor peasant girl who is in danger of being killed by a king. So there's an interesting play between wants and needs in that story. Anyway, another way of thinking about it, the needs comes from India, and I'll share my screen now. And that is the chakras system, which I'm here using in the most superficial sense to just think about different needs of people. So, and that's why this is called using chakras for story characters' inner drives. Actually, this is not my invention to use the chakras like this. There's a book called Inner Drives, from which I took a lot of inspiration. Anyway, I took this misty photo as a background because all of this is kind of foggy. There are no certain truths here. So chakras are a couple of 1,000 years old system of thinking about the human body. So there are different systems depending on if you're in Tibet or in which side of India you are. Sometimes there are 7 chakras, sometimes 4, sometimes another number, but usually it goes from downwards to up, and that's the way I'm going to go this time. So I'm not using this as any kind of religious sense, although there's also that. But yeah, we're not going there now. Also, I wouldn't know how to explain these in any deeper sense. Okay, so chakras became popular in the West during the 1960s and 70s in the age that was called the New Age period. And they are, I think, still used in yoga. I have done enough yoga to know how much it's used there. Okay, so I've also taken stuff from Maya Mendoza. There's the link to it. But let's start from the root, and I'm using here the feet, although. So this is all about survival. So it's the feet, it's the bowels, it's the stomach in the human body, and it's also the most direct connection of a human being to the world, like the most physical connection. It's also about survival. Like if you don't have food, you die at some point, or drink. At least you have to have something to drink. Or if there's a great disaster, then you have to get somewhere that is a safe place. Many movies about wars or natural disasters are about this root chakra, where you have to save yourself and you have to save your friends and loved ones from disasters. So it's a really effective way of motivating a character. So here are some more things. So the root chakra is also called the base chakra. So it's about physical survival, as I said. And all of us have a desire and a need to survive, unless we are in a self-destructive mood. And here we get to what I mentioned earlier about the Thanatos and Eros, which make, according to Freud and Spielrein, make the libido or the sexual urge. We'll come to that later. So also in Indian philosophy and theology, there's the god Shiva, who is said to dance a cosmic dance between creation and destruction. And that's a kind of thing maybe that we all have inside us. So because we are obviously made of dead matter, and that dead matter seeks to disintegrate because of the entropy in the universe. And then still we have the DNA in our cells that wants us to keep on living. So if your character, if you want to depict them fully alive, then it means that they also have to accept death at the heart of life. Okay, and then we have horror movies that use paranoia and fear, so it doesn't need to be a real threat. It can be only in the head of the character. So let's go one step further. I already talked about the will to survive, and to replicate. So this is more of the replication and the procreation. So physically, this is about the genitals and the womb. And I'm sorry, this picture is so low in its resolution. I need to change that into a better one. Anyway, sexual desire, it's a strong current. So I was talking about the DNA. So the DNA, of course, wants also to not just to keep us alive, but also it wants us to replicate and procreate. And of course, love stories and stories of lust, they are like classics for every culture that there is. Also stories of seeking pleasure and not finding it where you want it. So there's also this blockage thing, or obsessive behavior, sexual guilt, sexual emotions are strong things, like uh, uh, the Peanuts comics that I talked earlier. It's almost based on this. And of course, sexual orientation and gender orientation. So it becomes interesting story-wise if the character has like some sort of trouble with it, either that the character themselves that doesn't approve their own sexual orientation, or their surroundings doesn't approve it. So this leads to conflicts, and conflicts are needed for interesting stories. So if there is no trouble at all with the character and their sexual orientation, whatever it is, then we don't have an interesting story. Then the interest of the story has to be found elsewhere. So, which is totally a possibility too, of course. So up we go into the navel, or if we say not more nicely, the solar plexus. So here we have family and clan things. Um, and we have feelings of personal power here, and emotional lives. So in some cultures, like the ancient Greek culture, they thought that uh, the soul was living in the stomach. Or was it the ancient Chinese? Could be in the ancient Chinese. And there is a bundle of nerves inside our stomach that handles, it's like a mini brain that handles our digestion. So there's some reality behind the saying that the soul is in the stomach. So this might be also the character or personality I mentioned in the Freudian trio, the emotional character. So, and this can be a strength or a weakness for the character, like all of these. And then up we go to the heart, and as you can see, there's a lot of family, so it's about family and clan. So now we feel unconditional love towards family members, or sometimes it goes not just to the family next of kin, but also all the people in their own clan, or extended family, or even country. So many war stories are like this, that we have a close family resembling unit, or other ensemble stories where we have kind of like siblings and parents who are not really them siblings. And of course, actual family stories are this one. And then we have the sociopaths who don't feel anything towards each other or anybody. So as it says here, manifest as inhumanity, lack of compassion, or unprincipled behavior. And we go further into the throat chakra, and I took Picasso there for a reason, because now we have glory, fame, also creativity and self-expression. So basically, it's people who are good at talking, also good at maybe singing, and also all kinds of personal expression. And it's also a kind of search for glory and fame. And in the negative way, you can have these smooth talkers or politicians. But let's go further. Here's the third eye, which is often in India painted in people's foreheads. I read somewhere that there is like in with mammals, it's not that much there anymore, but in some fish and in some amphibians, there is a place on the forehead or the top of the head where there are some light sensitive cells. So and there is kind of a remnant of that in the human brain as well. It's not in the forehead, but a little bit more upwards. So the third eye is not just a legend. There is some biology behind it, actually. So here we have people who are interested in saving the whole world and maybe also losing themselves while they are doing it, but also so their concerns are bigger than just family or their own country even. And this goes in the negative way also to supervillains. So many and superhero stories. So often a super hero, and okay, James Bond is probably a superhero in a way. But anyway, James Bond often has to face a super villain who thinks he is the one and only savior of the world, he or she. So as a character, this is not necessarily easy to build. So you need to have the interest of the story needs to be in the other characters that are surrounding this one. Because not many people are like this. So typically the third eye personality doesn't much care about for instance, the root or their own survival. If the cause survives, then they don't need to survive. So that might be also their negative side. And then we have one more, which is the crown. So here we go to full enlightenment and into the astral body, maybe. So now you have, so these characters, they have already saved the world, maybe, and now they are moving on. to goals that other people usually can't comprehend that well. So I took some examples there that I thought were this kind of character, like Aang at the end of the Avatar series, on Miyazaki's Nausicaa, the Valley of the Wind. I mean the comics here, not the movie. So also we could have a negative crime character, so person with delusions and mental problems who could be dangerous. But often it's nuns and monks and saints, people like that. So they want to connect with divinity, with some higher thing. And here's, as a reminder, also Maslow's motivation model, or Maslow's hierarchy of needs, for which you can find a lot of literature and also some updates. I mean, this was Maslow's model, and it has been updated afterwards. So he has divided it to deficiency needs and growth needs. So the growth is growth as a person. And if you compare these, they go roughly the same way as the chakras that I just mentioned. There's at the bottom there are the physiological needs, then safety needs I didn't mention with the chakras, but of course they are there. Then we have needs for belonging and needs to be loved and to give love, self-esteem needs. And then we go up to cognitive needs, aesthetic needs, self-actualization, and transcendence. Okay, so this is also something you can use for your for motivating your characters. And I think that's it for now. So I should stop sharing here. Yes, that was my last slide.